If your wife or soon-to-be ex-wife has accused you of being narcissistic, controlling, or abusive, and it's messing with your head and you're just saying this doesn't add up with who I am or who I thought myself to be, this video is for you. When these kinds of accusations start flying during a divorce, and they start flying a lot during divorce, especially when the woman is initiating it, these kinds of accusations come up so frequently. When this happens, the default reaction is to get a little bit defensive. Your brain starts to question, and it gets, initially you doubt yourself and you think, oh my God, is this true? But then you quickly jump to, this is not true, it's bullshit. And maybe she's the narcissist. She's the one who's actually being controlling, emotionally abusive, certainly. Maybe she's checking these narcissist boxes. But what if the question of who is the narcissist, essentially who is the asshole in this divorce, is the wrong question entirely? By the end of this video, you will understand why these kinds of narcissist accusations come up so commonly during divorce, and what you actually need to do to avoid losing your sanity and your kids and your financial future in the process. When these accusations start coming, most men's brains dig into it. They're like, oh my God, she said I'm a narcissist. What does that even mean? What is a narcissist? You start Googling and watching YouTube videos and learning about it, and one of two things happens. One, you start to see some of those behaviors in yourself and you start to get really worried. And I see men going far down this path and saying, oh my God, this is 100% my fault. I can't believe I did these things. I've got to change. Or you start to see these things and you're like, yes, some of this looks like me and I've made those mistakes, but I don't check all of these boxes. And when I step back and actually look at her, it really seems like maybe she does. And when that happens, the brain starts to believe one of two things. It's like, well, actually one of three things. Either if I can prove to myself and to everyone else that she's the real narcissist, she's the controlling, abusive one, then I'll finally be safe. I won't lose my kids. I won't lose my financial future. People will actually see me for the good person that I am. And you try to explain yourself and prove that you are a good person, and maybe also to prove that her behavior is the behavior that's out of line, either to her or to other people you care about. Or you go down that path essentially of self-flagellation so far that you take responsibility for everything and commit to changing, to making things different, to being a better man. And then you're trying to prove that to her and to everybody else that you care about. Either by proving that she's the real bad guy or that you were the bad guy but you're reforming. Either way, you're trying to win this label fight. You've kind of bought into the idea that somebody, you or her, is the narcissist or the controlling person or the abusive person. And you're going to fix that or right that wrong one way or the other. But men who try to win that labeling fight, they almost always lose. They lose mentally, emotionally, financially, and often in custody battles as well. It is so important if accusations of narcissism, abuse, controlling behavior are flying around in your divorce that you do not get drug into that label fight with her. Because what's going on, this divorce, this separation, it is not about narcissism. This is about nervous system dysregulation due to attachment threat. The divorce is a massively disruptive life event. It is a direct threat to your primary attachments, to your primary relationships in your life. These kinds of disruptive life events and attachment threats, they put human nervous systems into a fight or flight response. And this is so key. Highly dysregulated people, so people whose nervous systems are in a fight or flight response, they behave narcissistically even when they aren't narcissists. This applies to you and to her. When either one of you goes into that fight or flight response, you will start displaying behaviors like projecting the problem or the blame onto the other person, distorting reality, gaslighting, trying to prove that things didn't happen the way the other person said it happened. You'll get into really defensive behavior where your immediate reaction or her immediate reaction is defensive and attacking. You'll experience this sense of identity collapse and this feeling like you have to fight back and everything is against you and out to get you. But the important thing to understand is that narcissism is a stable personality trait. It is a deep childhood wound that triggers a predictable pattern of behavior. But divorce behavior, the controlling or emotionally abusive behavior that you might have displayed, that your ex-wife or soon-to-be ex-wife might be displaying right now, that is a nervous system state dependent behavior. It is not your standard response throughout your whole life, and it is probably not her standard behavior throughout her whole life. If you're going through the separation and you're asking, who is this woman and where did my wife go? That is a clear sign that her behavior is state dependent. It's the result of her activated nervous system, not that she is at her root a narcissist. During a divorce, your regulation state, how well regulated or dysregulated your nervous system is going to determine your behavior far more than your personality. You might not feel like yourself during the divorce. I was recently talking to a new client in my Better Beyond Divorce coaching program, and he was like, Rachel, I am having the weirdest thoughts, the weirdest reactions. Like, I don't even understand what's going on inside of myself. It doesn't feel like me. So many of my clients say, I don't feel like myself. I just want to feel like myself again. Or I don't understand why I feel the amount of anxiety I do, or why I can't sleep, or why I keep waking up with all this cortisol flooding my system. They don't feel like themselves, because this isn't a personality problem. If you're getting angry and lashing out, if you're getting overwhelmed and anxious and shutting down, it's not because you're a narcissist. It's because your nervous system is activated and you're really dysregulated right now. And the same is true for her. If she's acting like a different person, if you don't even recognize the woman that you married anywhere in her or in her behavior, that tells us that she's in a fight or flight response and she's reacting from that survival mode activation. This isn't about her personality or a character flaw in her. It's a nervous system, state-dependent response. Over the last 5 years, I have worked with hundreds of men going through unwanted divorces. These are guys who were blindsided by the divorce, who didn't want it, didn't see it coming. They were good men. They tried to save their marriages. They often fought with an immense amount of courage to try to repair the rifts in their relationships. And my clients often tell me, they're like, look, Rachel, I'm not that bad, right? Yes, we had problems in the marriage, sure, but everybody does. And I didn't cheat, and I wasn't abusive, and I didn't gamble away all our money, right? I don't drink. Like, they're not doing any of these big divorce-worthy things in their relationship. And yet their wives are calling them narcissistic, controlling, financially abusive, emotionally abusive. And one of the things that I have seen in my clients and that I see happening to so many good men is that the more they try to fight those kinds of accusations, the more dysregulated they become. So they feel so attacked. She's calling you abusive, narcissistic, and that is really scary. That's not who you are. It's not who you want to be. And you're trying so hard to prove to her that that's not who you are. But in your attempts to force her to see the good in you, she actually sees all of that activation, right? You might start defending yourself. You might get angry. You might argue with her version of reality or her story. And to her, all of that is just more proof. Look, see, you're being narcissistic right now. You're gaslighting me. You're being controlling. You're trying to control my thoughts. You're trying to control my behavior. You're trying to control my response. You're trying to control this divorce process. And it's like everything that you do to try to prove to her who you really are actually just reinforces the narrative she has. And the pattern that I see is that the accusations from her continue to rise and get worse as you get more and more dysregulated. And it is a horrible cycle because her accusations are what make you feel so threatened and put you into a fight or flight response. And then you act in ways that she interprets as controlling, abusive, or narcissistic. She makes more accusations and the cycle just spirals. And we can end up in this really, really painful and costly spiraling emotional experience, because the more she sees you as controlling, aggressive, narcissistic, abusive, the more high conflict the divorce process comes. And there's a point where kids get involved. And I see men who lose their relationships with their kids, damage their relationships with their kids, lose a lot of money in the divorce process, spend a lot of money on lawyers because things become so high conflict, there's no room for amicable discussion or negotiation. So this is a really toxic cycle, and it's one that we've got to break. And the good news is that we can break it, but you have to let go of the who's the narcissist label battle. You have to stop trying to prove that you aren't one. You have to stop trying to prove to yourself that maybe she is one. You have to step out of all of that and focus on one thing: nervous system regulation. You have to get your nervous system calm. And this is what I see again and again with my clients. When they do that, when they're able to let go of that argument of winning the who was the asshole in this divorce argument and just focus on what do I need to get regulated, to get calm, grounded, to feel safe in the moment, they are able to start to de-escalate the conflict with their ex-wives or soon-to-be ex-wives. They're able to repair their relationships with their children. There's one client a few months back, he shared this amazing series of posts in my Better Beyond Divorce community from his 14-year-old son. And his son, his teenage son, was texting him and saying things like, wow, Dad, I just love spending time with you. It feels so good to be with you. It used to be really hard to be around you. Hey, what's the difference? How do you get your 14-year-old kid to tell you that they love being with you and that they're so comfortable in your presence? You don't convince them of that. You don't argue your worth to them. They have to feel good when they're with you. And there's only one way that happens. You have to be regulated and present. If you're up in anxiety, if you're out in anger, if you are activated, other people are not going to feel safe around you. And that's actually one of the complaints that a lot of men get during divorce, is that their wives don't feel safe. They don't feel emotionally safe. And the men don't get it because they're like, well, I'm not abusive. I don't yell. I'm not mean. I'm a good husband. But are you regulated? Are you calm? Are you grounded? Are you present? Or is your nervous system sending all kinds of activation signals to everyone around you? When your nervous system is dysregulated, you cannot help but feed the loops of escalation with your ex-wife and with anybody else that you care about, because you are showing up in this activated, triggered way, and it's going to trigger them, and those accusations will just get reinforced. Everything you do to try to prove that you're not narcissistic or that she is the one who's controlling or abusive and not you is just going to escalate the situation. Regulation shuts down that cycle. It takes you out of it, and there's nothing for her to push back against. She can make all the accusations she wants of you being narcissistic, controlling, and abusive, but when you are genuinely calm, grounded, and regulated, everyone can see that. Your kids can see it, a judge can see it, a mediator can see it. Human beings are incredibly sensitive to the nervous system states of people around us. Her words have nothing on your presence. But you cannot do this through willpower. If you try to force calm through willpower, you will make it worse, because your body will betray you. You might think you're holding it together and being quiet, but there will be tension in the tone of your voice. It'll be in the way you carry your shoulders, the tension of your rib cage and your abdominal muscles. It'll show in the movement in your eyes and your facial features when you talk. And it will also show up in your ability to listen. There are actually changes that happen to the little bones in our inner ear when we're activated into a fight or flight response. We start to lose our ability to hear subtle changes in the tone of voice in other people. So you literally will not be able to listen well when you're activated. So if you are forcing a sense of calm, everyone around you will pick up on it. You have to truly be regulated. It's not enough to suppress what you're feeling and try to act like you're regulated. So if you are being accused of being narcissistic, controlling, or abusive in this divorce, and you've been questioning whether or not that's true, and if you've been questioning maybe whether or not it's true about her instead of about you, I'm going to invite you to just step out of that whole cycle of questioning and get curious instead. How am I feeling? How activated am I? If you're seeing any inconsistencies between past behavior and present behavior, that's a sure sign that an activated nervous system state is driving what's going on, not a deeper underlying personality disorder in you or in her. And once you stop trying to diagnose yourself or her as the controlling, narcissistic, abusive person in the relationship, and you just get curious about that dysregulated behavior and the nervous system activation behind it, we can start to approach this in a very different way. Instead of trying to prove that you're the good guy or prove that she's the bad guy, or convince her that neither of you is the good or bad guy, or make her watch this video so she understands you're not the narcissist and she's not the narcissist, you can let all of that go and focus on the one thing that will actually make a difference: regulating your nervous system. That is how you break free from this whole cycle. It is the only way to reliably change the way that she sees you, that your kids see you, that a judge or mediator sees you. If you don't regulate yourself first, nothing that you say will be heard accurately, not by her and not by anybody else that matters to you. So the next question is, how the heck do you do it? If it's not enough to force calm or pretend that you're okay when you're not, how do you actually train your nervous system into a calm, regulated state, especially when you're being attacked by a woman who's accusing you of being narcissistic, controlling, or abusive? I have made an entire masterclass. It is a full training that teaches you the exact same nervous system regulation strategies that I use with all of my coaching clients. It's how the client I mentioned earlier was able to transform his relationship with his 14-year-old son. It's how other clients have been able to navigate cohabitating with a soon-to-be ex who is accusing them of narcissism successfully. And it's how I've seen so many men avoid highly expensive, contentious, high-conflict divorces and create a more amicable negotiation process. It's even the path to reconciliation in situations where that's possible. It all has to start with nervous system regulation. So I made a free masterclass, a free training that walks you through step by step exactly how to do this. So come with me into that masterclass and let's start getting your nervous system truly regulated so you can break out of this toxic, narcissistic labeling dance and actually start to improve your health and all of your relationships. All right, thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you in the masterclass. The link is in the video description below. I'll see you guys there.